All right, in this video, I'm going to show you variation functions. Variation functions, there's kind of a lot of different ways to do it, but they really boil down to about three different ones. So for variation functions, what we're looking at is variation is usually either direct, which means when one thing goes up, the other thing goes up. So direct variation is like when you have a job. The amount that you get paid per hour is called the constant of variation. Which is represented by K always in all different kinds of variations. So the K will show up over and over. The constant of variation is like how much you get paid. Let's say you have a job and you get paid $10 an hour. That means for every hour that you work, you will get paid $10. And this is like a linear equation, just with a y-intercept of 0. So direct variation is a linear equation with a y-intercept of 0. That's kind of how we look at it. The more you work, the more money you make. So as one thing goes up, the other thing goes up. That's direct variation. Inverse variation is like this. This is still your constant of variation. This is like when you rent a house. So let's say you go out and you rent a house, and the amount that the house costs is always going to be the same. So let's say that you rent a house that costs $1,000 a month. The amount of people that you get is going to reduce the amount that you spend. Let's say you hate everyone in the whole entire world. If you hate everyone in the whole entire world and you're going to live by yourself, then you spend $1,000 every month for your rent. But let's say there's one person that you really like and you want to live with them. If there's one person that you really like and you live with them, then you only spend $500 a month. So as one thing goes up, the other thing goes down. And this would be true the other way. As x goes down, y goes up. Now this is directing an inverse variation. This one was inverse variation. Direct meaning essentially that the amount that this goes up directly affects the amount that this goes up. Inverse essentially meaning that the amount that this goes up inversely affects the amount that this would go up, or that this goes down, okay? Now, there's different ways that you can write it. Y equals k times x is the same thing as divide both sides by x, k equals y over x. There's one more way that you could write this. You could also divide by k. So y equals k times x divided by k means x equals y over k. These are all different ways to write direct variation. Similarly, with inverse variation, you can write it different ways. We could multiply by x. K equals y times x. You could multiply by x and then, whoops, I wrote this wrong. Divide by y. So we already multiplied by x, now we divide by y, and we get x equals k over y. So there's three different ways that you can write this one as well. The next thing is joint variation. Joint variation usually means direct variation with more than two variables. So what this would be y equals k times x times z. So now I have an x and a z here, so this is joint variation. This is like if you get paid, you work out some way where you're gonna babysit a kid. And you're gonna get paid $5 per hour for babysitting this kid. For every hour that you babysit them, you're gonna get $5. But on top of that, you also get paid per kid. So for every kid that you babysit, you're gonna get paid extra. So this is kind of like what you're looking at here. Now we can do multiple variations together. What we can do is we can say y varies jointly with x and z and inversely with a and b. So what that means is y equals joint variation is k times what's happening, x and z. Inverse variation means that your k is divided by, and that's a and b. So this would be the equation for that. The constant variation is always the same. So like if I find out how much I make per hour, it's going to be the same every single time. So sometimes they'll say y varies directly with x. Y is 10 when x is 5. Find y when x is 7. So what this is telling me to do is to find the constant of variation first. Varies directly means k times x. It tells me right here y is 10 when x is 5. So I plug that information in. I solve for the k value, or the constant of variation, and I get k equals 2. I'm going to use this k value and plug it into the standard form of the equation. Now I'm going to use the new value that they gave me. X is 7, what is y? And it's going to be 14. And they'll do this with multiple ones. And really that's it for direct, indirect, and joint variation. That's what we're looking at.